Ladies and gentlemen, one day you're going to wake up and realize something that will shake you to your core. Nobody was coming to change your life for you. Not your friends, not your family, not luck, not timing. No one is coming to save you, and that realization can feel uncomfortable at first because it strips away the illusion that something outside of you will suddenly change everything. Many people grow up believing that one day the right opportunity will appear, the right person will guide them, or the perfect moment will arrive that finally pushes them into the life they've been dreaming about. But the truth is far less comforting and far more empowering at the same time. Your life only changes when you decide to take full responsibility for it. When you rely on others to fix your situation, you give away your power. You begin to wait instead of act. You start hoping instead of building. And slowly, without even realizing it, you fall into a pattern where your progress becomes dependent on circumstances you cannot control. This is where most people get stuck. They blame their environment, their background, their lack of resources, or even the people around them. While those factors may influence your journey, they do not define your destination unless you allow them to. Taking responsibility means looking at your current situation with honesty, not excuses. It means acknowledging that while you may not be responsible for everything that has happened to you, you are responsible for what you choose to do next. That shift in mindset is powerful because it moves you from being a victim of your life to the creator of it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What can I do about it?" And that simple change in perspective opens the door to growth. It also requires courage because responsibility is heavy. It means you can no longer hide behind comfort or blame. It means accepting that your habits, your discipline, your choices, and your mindset are shaping your reality every single day. That can be difficult to accept, especially when progress feels slow or when results are not immediate. But the moment you embrace this responsibility, you gain control. And control is what most people are truly searching for when they feel stuck. You start to realize that waiting is costing you more than failing ever could. Every day spent waiting is a day where nothing changes, where opportunities pass, and where your potential remains unused. On the other hand, taking action, even imperfect action, moves you forward. It teaches you, strengthens you, and builds momentum. Progress does not come from perfection. It comes from consistency and effort over time. Another important part of understanding that no one is coming to save you is recognizing that support can exist, but it should never be your foundation. People can guide you, inspire you, and even help you along the way, but they cannot walk the path for you. They cannot put in the work that your goals require. They cannot make the sacrifices that your future demands. That responsibility will always belong to you, no matter how much help you receive. Once you accept this truth, something shifts within you. You stop waiting for permission. You stop looking for validation. You stop relying on motivation alone. Instead, you begin to build discipline. You start creating routines that align with your goals. You become more intentional with your time, your energy, and your focus. And over time, these small, consistent actions begin to reshape your life in ways you once thought required external intervention. This realization is not meant to discourage you, it is meant to awaken you. Because if no one is coming to save you, it also means no one is stopping you. The power you are waiting for has been within you all along, waiting for you to take ownership and use it with purpose and determination. Lack of focus is one of the most silent yet destructive forces in a person's life because it doesn't feel dangerous in the moment. It feels comfortable, harmless, even entertaining. You tell yourself that a few minutes of distraction won't matter, that you deserve a break, that you'll get serious later. But what you don't realize is that these small moments of lost focus slowly compound into a life that feels stuck, unfulfilled, and directionless. When your focus is scattered, your energy is scattered. And when your energy is scattered, your results are inconsistent. You may start things with excitement, but you don't finish them. You set goals, but you don't follow through. You make plans, but you don't execute them. Over time, this creates a gap between the life you want and the life you are actually living. And that gap is not caused by a lack of ability. It is caused by a lack of sustained attention. The modern world is built to break your focus. Every notification, every scroll, every comparison pulls your mind in a different direction. You wake up with intentions, but within minutes, your attention is hijacked by things that have nothing to do with your growth. Hours pass, and at the end of the day, you feel busy but not productive. This is the trap of distraction. It gives you the illusion of activity without the substance of progress. What makes this even more dangerous is that distraction often feels easier than discipline. It's easier to watch others succeed than to put in the work yourself. It's easier to talk about goals than to chase them. It's easier to stay in your comfort zone than to push beyond it. But every time you choose what is easy over what is necessary, you reinforce a habit that keeps you exactly where you are. Focus, on the other hand, requires intention. It requires you to decide what truly matters and to protect your time and energy from everything that doesn't align with it. This means saying no to things that may feel good in the moment but cost you in the long run. It means being disciplined enough to stay committed even when you don't feel motivated. Because the truth is, motivation comes and goes, but focus is built through daily choices. When you begin to develop focus, something powerful happens. Your actions become more aligned with your goals. Your efforts become more efficient. You stop wasting time on things that don't move you forward, and you start investing your energy into things that do. Progress becomes visible, not because you are doing more, but because you are doing what matters most. Another important aspect of focus is clarity. When you lack focus, you often lack direction. You are unsure of what you truly want, so you end up chasing multiple things at once and mastering none of them. But when you focus, you simplify your path, you identify your priorities and commit to them fully. This clarity reduces overwhelm and increases confidence because you know exactly where you are heading and why. It's also important to understand that focus is not about perfection, it's about consistency. There will be days when you get distracted, when you lose momentum, when you feel like you are falling behind. But what matters is how quickly you return to your path. The ability to refocus is just as important as focus itself. Each time you bring your attention back to what matters, you strengthen your discipline. In the end, lack of focus doesn't just keep you from achieving your goals, it slowly shapes a life of missed opportunities and unrealized potential. It keeps you busy but not productive, entertained but not fulfilled, active but not progressing. And unless you make a conscious decision to take control of your attention, you will continue to drift in the direction of distractions instead of moving toward the life you truly want. Tomorrow is one of the most comforting words you can tell yourself, and at the same time, one of the most dangerous. It gives you relief without requiring effort. It allows you to delay without feeling guilty. It whispers that you still have time, that you can start later, that today doesn't really matter. But what makes it dangerous is not the word itself, it's the habit it creates. Because when you keep choosing tomorrow, you slowly lose control of today. Every time you say you'll start tomorrow, you are making a quiet decision to remain the same for one more day. It may not feel like a big deal in the moment, but these small decisions add up. One day becomes a week becomes a month, and before you know it, months or even years have passed with little to no real progress. And the hardest part is realizing that nothing was truly stopping you except the belief that you could always begin later. The idea of tomorrow tricks your mind into thinking that future you will be more motivated, more disciplined, more ready. You imagine a version of yourself who wakes up energized, focused, and determined, finally taking action on everything you've been postponing. But the truth is, that version of you is built by what you do today, not by what you promise for tomorrow. If you can't act now, there is no reason to believe you will suddenly act later. Another reason tomorrow is so dangerous is because it protects your comfort. Taking action today often means facing discomfort. It means stepping into uncertainty, risking failure, and pushing beyond habits that feel familiar. Saying, "I'll do it tomorrow," allows you to avoid that discomfort while still feeling like you have a plan. It's a way of escaping effort without admitting that you're avoiding it. But comfort has a cost. Every time you delay action, you strengthen the habit of procrastination. You train your mind to prioritize ease over growth. And over time, this becomes your default behavior. You start to delay not just big decisions, but small ones too. You hesitate, you overthink, you wait. And while you're waiting, life keeps moving forward without you. It's also important to understand that opportunities don't wait for your perfect timing. The world doesn't pause while you prepare yourself mentally. Chances come and go, and if you're always planning to act tomorrow, you may miss the moments that could have changed your life. Many people look back with regret, not because they failed, but because they never started when they had the chance. Taking action today doesn't mean you have to be perfect or have everything figured out. In fact, waiting until you feel ready is often another form of delay. Action creates clarity. Movement builds confidence. The more you do, the more you learn, and the more prepared you become. But none of that can happen if you keep pushing everything into the future. Breaking the habit of tomorrow requires awareness and discipline. It means catching yourself in the moment when you are about to delay and choosing differently. It means asking yourself whether you really need more time or whether you are simply avoiding effort. And most importantly, it means taking small steps immediately, even if they feel insignificant. Because those small steps are what break the cycle. When you begin to act today, something shifts. You stop feeling stuck because you are no longer waiting. You start building momentum, and momentum creates motivation. You realize that progress is not about giant leaps, but about consistent action taken in the present moment. And once you understand that today is the only time you truly have control over, you begin to treat it with more intention and urgency. Knowledge without action is one of the most deceptive traps a person can fall into because it creates the illusion of progress without any real transformation. You can read books, watch videos, listen to advice, and understand exactly what needs to be done, but if you don't apply it, your life remains unchanged. In fact, sometimes having too much knowledge without action can make you feel even more stuck, because deep down, you are aware of your potential, yet you are not living up to it. There is a certain comfort in learning. It feels productive. It feels like you are moving forward. You convince yourself that you are preparing, that you are getting ready, that you just need a little more information before you begin. But preparation can easily turn into procrastination when it is not followed by execution. You keep consuming, but you never create. You keep planning, but you never perform. And over time, this becomes a cycle where you are constantly gathering knowledge, but never using it. The truth is, knowledge is only powerful when it is acted upon. It is not what you know that changes your life. It is what you do consistently that creates results. You may know the importance of discipline, but if you don't practice it daily, it means nothing. You may understand the value of time, but if you continue to waste it, that understanding has no impact. You may be aware of the habits that lead to success, but unless you build those habits into your routine, they remain just ideas. One of the reasons people struggle to turn knowledge into action is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. It feels safer to stay in the learning phase because there is no risk involved. You are not exposed, you are not challenged, and you are not tested. But growth only happens when you step into that discomfort. Action forces you to confront your weaknesses, to make mistakes, and to improve through experience. Without that process, knowledge stays theoretical and never becomes practical. Another challenge is perfectionism. Many people delay action because they want everything to be perfect before they start. They want the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions. But perfection is an illusion that keeps you waiting indefinitely. Action, even when imperfect, is far more valuable than endless preparation. When you take action, you learn what works and what doesn't. You adapt, you adjust, and you get better over time. That is something knowledge alone can never give you. It is also important to recognize that action builds confidence. The more you do, the more capable you feel. Confidence does not come from knowing, it comes from doing. Every small step you take reinforces the belief that you can handle challenges, that you can make progress, that you are moving forward. Without action, doubt grows stronger because you never give yourself the chance to prove your abilities. Turning knowledge into action requires discipline and commitment. It means setting clear intentions and following through, even when you don't feel like it. It means holding yourself accountable and not relying solely on motivation. Motivation can inspire you to start, but discipline is what keeps you going. You have to be willing to take responsibility for your growth and make consistent efforts no matter how small they may seem. At some point, you have to stop consuming and start applying. You have to shift from thinking to doing, from planning to executing. Because no matter how much you know, your life will only reflect the actions you take, not the ideas you understand. And once you begin to act on what you know, you unlock the true value of knowledge, turning it from information into transformation. Focus requires sacrifice and discipline, and this is where most people struggle because they want the results without letting go of the habits that are holding them back. Everyone talks about wanting success, growth, and a better life, but very few are willing to pay the price that comes with it. That price is not always money or talent. More often, it is the willingness to give up comfort, distractions, and instant gratification in exchange for long-term progress. Sacrifice is not about losing something valuable, it is about choosing something better. When you decide to focus on yourself, you are making a conscious decision to let go of things that do not serve your future. This could be unhealthy routines, time-wasting activities, or even certain relationships that drain your energy instead of supporting your growth. These decisions are not easy because what you are giving up often feels familiar and comfortable. But growth has never been built inside comfort zones. Discipline is what turns that sacrifice into consistent action. It is easy to say you want to change your life, but discipline is what determines whether you actually follow through. It is waking up early when you don't feel like it, staying committed when motivation fades, and continuing to work even when progress is slow. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build through repeated choices. Every time you choose what is necessary over what is easy, you strengthen it. One of the hardest parts of sacrifice is dealing with the feeling of missing out. While others are relaxing, socializing, or taking shortcuts, you are putting in the work. It can feel isolating at times. You may question whether it is worth it, whether you are being too strict, whether you should just enjoy the moment instead. But what you have to remember is that short-term enjoyment often leads to long-term regret, while short-term discipline leads to long-term freedom. Focusing on yourself also means learning to say no without guilt. You cannot do everything, be everywhere, and still expect to achieve meaningful progress. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that truly matters. Your time and energy are limited, and how you use them determines your direction in life. Saying no is not about rejecting others, it is about protecting your priorities. Another important aspect of discipline is consistency. It is not about making one big sacrifice or putting in effort for a short period of time. It is about showing up every single day, even when the results are not visible yet. This is where most people give up. They expect quick outcomes, and when they don't see them, they lose motivation. But real growth is often invisible in the beginning. It happens quietly through small, repeated actions that eventually lead to significant change. Sacrifice and discipline also build mental strength. They teach you how to handle discomfort, how to stay committed under pressure, and how to push through challenges without giving up. These qualities are what separate those who achieve their goals from those who only dream about them. It is not always the most talented or the most intelligent who succeed, but the ones who are willing to stay consistent and disciplined over time. As you continue to focus and make sacrifices, you start to notice a shift in your mindset. You become more intentional, more aware of your choices, and more aligned with your goals. What once felt difficult begins to feel normal. The habits that required effort become part of your routine. And slowly, the life you are building starts to reflect the discipline you have developed. In the end, the question is not whether sacrifice and discipline are required, because they always are. The real question is whether you are willing to embrace them in order to become the person you know you are capable of becoming. Your decisions shape your future in ways that are often invisible in the moment, but undeniable over time. Every single day, you are making choices, some small, some significant, and each one is quietly building the direction of your life. The challenge is that most decisions don't feel important when you make them. Choosing to sleep a little longer, to delay your work, to avoid discomfort, or to give in to distractions seems harmless at the time. But when repeated consistently, these choices become patterns, and those patterns eventually become your reality. It's easy to underestimate the power of daily decisions because the results are not immediate. You don't see the consequences of one missed opportunity or one unproductive day right away. But life doesn't respond to isolated actions, it responds to repeated behavior. What you do consistently matters far more than what you do occasionally. A single good decision will not transform your life, just as a single bad decision will not destroy it. But when those decisions become habits, they start to define who you are and where you are headed. One of the most important things to understand is that every decision carries a direction. You are either moving closer to your goals or further away from them. There is no neutral ground. Even when you feel like you are standing still, you are often drifting in a direction shaped by inaction or distraction. This is why awareness is so important. When you become conscious of your choices, you begin to see how they align or fail to align with the life you want to create. Many people struggle because they focus only on big decisions while ignoring the small ones. They believe that success comes from major turning points, dramatic changes, or life-altering opportunities. But in reality, it is the small, everyday decisions that carry the most weight. The choice to stay consistent, to remain disciplined, to prioritize your goals over temporary comfort, these are the decisions that create lasting change. They may seem insignificant in isolation, but together they form the foundation of your future. Another challenge is that decisions often come with trade-offs. When you choose one path, you are also choosing to let go of another. This can create hesitation and doubt, especially when you are unsure if you are making the right choice. But waiting for certainty can lead to inaction, and inaction is a decision in itself. It keeps you stuck in the same place while time continues to move forward. Sometimes it is better to make a decision and learn from it than to remain stuck in endless hesitation. It is also important to recognize that your environment and habits can influence your decisions. If you surround yourself with distractions, negativity, or people who lack direction, it becomes harder to make choices that support your growth. On the other hand, when you build an environment that encourages discipline and focus, making the right decisions becomes easier. This is why intentional living is so powerful. It allows you to design your surroundings in a way that supports the person you are trying to become. Taking responsibility for your decisions means accepting both the successes and the failures that come with them. It means understanding that you have control over your actions, even if you cannot control every outcome. This mindset removes the tendency to blame external factors and instead encourages you to learn, adapt, and improve. Each decision becomes an opportunity to grow rather than a risk to avoid. Over time, as you become more intentional with your choices, you begin to notice a shift. You feel more in control of your life because you are actively shaping it rather than reacting to it. Your confidence increases because you trust your ability to make decisions that align with your goals. And most importantly, your future starts to reflect the discipline and awareness you bring to your daily actions.